trees bear strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South, the bulging eyes and the twisted mouth, scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to gather, for the wind to suck, for the sun to rock, for the tree to drop. Here is a strange and bitter cry.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody, I'm Preacher Mars, host of the S.O.S show. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great Sunday. And I say have a great Sunday in a way that you're being able to relax before you go into the week. You know how Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays are. And I hope that, whatever you did this weekend, it was relaxing and it meant something to you. So those of you who have never seen that woman or don't know who she is, that is the famous... That's Queen, that's Lady Day, that's Miss Billie Holiday, who will be the subject of our Sunday potluck. I figured on the last day of Black History Month, I really wanted to give you some Black history based upon a woman who I thought was a martyr in many regards and grossly misunderstood. I came to understand Billie Holiday when I was young in a movie that was produced by Berry Gordy's Motown called Lady Sings the Blues, which featured Diana Ross playing Billie Holiday and Richard Pryor as Piano Man and Louis McKay as her husband. That would be Billy D. Williams. The song she sang was the song she sang was probably one of the most deeply impactful songs of that era. Drummer Max Rhodes said that she is saying something that we have been wanting to say for years. The equivalent of her talking about strange fruit is what people talked about with Rodney King, what people felt about George Floyd. She was singing back in the late 30s, strange fruit, about the injustice of racism, also lynching, and she poured her heart out about it. A grave injustice was done to Miss Billie Holiday, a Baltimore resident, born and bred. Now, people will tell you things about her. Yes, she had a heroin addict. Yes, she had a heroin habit. Yes, she was an alcoholic. Yes, she had these problems. But she was brilliant, brilliant, and she was a martyr. Let's start to talk out by saying these things, brothers and sisters. In the 60s, in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 30s, black people were invisible to America. They weren't represented, they weren't respected, and they weren't definitely valued. This is a woman whose voice and her talent brought her value in her own community. And because it brought her talent in her own community, you knew that it had to be silenced. Just the way they did with Miles Davis, just the way they did with Coltrane, just the way they did with Thelonious Monk. She was a benchmark for basically the beginning of the drug wars. If you want to reference some of this, there's a book called Chasing the Scream, The First and Last Days of the Drug War by Johann Hari, if you want to see it. The book came out like 2015. Now, let me give you full stop. There's a movie coming out on Hulu, United States versus Billie Holiday. Well, here's the thing. It's going to be garbage. I can tell you right now, it's going to be garbage. It's going to be a lot of sensation. And it's going to miss the point of why this woman is so important. Now, quickly, before I get into that, I see some people in the spot. Let me introduce everybody in the way Billie Holiday would introduce you. Hey, baby, how you doing? If you are coming on the show for the first time, I have to abbreviate this because I have a lot of stuff to talk about. But welcome to the show. We appreciate you dropping by. If you don't know, hit the subscribe button, notification button, like button on the way out. But here's the bigger deal. When you come here, feel like you are amongst family. Don't be shy. Get into the comment section and represent yourself. I am trying to put out a platform, not while on the platform. I'm trying to build community. And I can't do it if you're sitting out there shy like I don't see you. I am a comedian. I am an entertainer. I am a thinker that believes that love can solve a lot of things. And love and community can solve a lot of things. And this woman, Billie Holiday, has been grossly misunderstood. All she ever gave was love. All she ever wanted was love. And men in her life didn't give it to her. The drugs in her life didn't give it to her. And the government damn sure didn't give it to her. Let me give some quick shout outs before we get rolling here. Reed, Assalamu alaikum, Reed has hooked your brother up, brothers and sisters. I have a quick screen share. I have dinner for today, tomorrow, and the next week. I just want to give you guys a quick shout out what that looks like. Ooh wee. Oh, it looks scrumptious. We got shrimp, we got cheese, we got pasta, we got chicken. It looks fantastic. Thank you, Ree. I'm going to be on that the rest of the day. Ree go to Ree Nollins on Facebook and she can actually give you the recipe. But I appreciate that for you. As well, we're going to have, I want to shout out Sister Sultana. Thank you, Sister Sultana, for being our consultant producer, helping me put together shows like this, because it's really, really important. I wanted to go out on Black History with someone I really, really love, but, people want you to go out on Rosa Parks and da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but to some people who are pivotal to things that you're going through today, you might not recognize. So I'm going to make sure that I shout these people out. Let me give Sister Aika a shout out from Indonesia, Jakarta, Depok. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We appreciate your attendance and support. Sister Jasmine, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Fruits, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you. And please continue to do good work. Reed, thank you. I will enjoy briefly after this show is over, inshallah. But let me get to the point of why Billie Holiday is important. Beyond being a musical icon, she is a musical giant in a land where most of the musical giants were male. You're talking about Train, Miles, Sonny Rollins. You're talking about Coleman Hawkins. She was one of the first premier singers that came out. And I know we know Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan, but they were no way done like this woman was done. Let me begin. In early 1930s, brothers and sisters, something happened in the United States. Before that, they had something called Volstead Act, and it was about the prohibition of alcohol. Well, everybody knows how that turned out. Alcohol won, and it won huge. The next thing that happened was in the Department of Treasury in Washington, D.C., there was a small office. And the guy who ran that office was a guy called Harry Anslinger. Harry Anslinger. Remember that name. This gentleman inherited basically a holdover from the Prohibition days. And they said we needed to have the next big thing. We needed to come up with something big to justify this office. And what they decided to do was how they were going to justify this office was that they were going to have, brothers and sisters, this war on drugs. Sound familiar? They were going to have this war on drugs. And back then, in the 30s and 40s, the war on drugs was really about reefer. Not so much cocaine, not so much heroin, but it was about reefers. And the target of the war on drugs at that point in time, you guessed it, people of color, black folk, who were regarded as animals, primitive, killers of their own kind. They consumed their own babies. It was all these things that led this department to lead an all-out assault on the drug reefers. Here's the deal, though. There's really one main group that was smoking reefers. Who was it? It was the jazz musicians. That's right, the jazz musicians. And they made a concerted effort to bust every jazz musician they could that had reefer. Reefer, in case you don't know, is marijuana. There was a problem, though. And if you ever want to know why good old Preacher Moss loves hanging out with jazz musicians and performing with jazz musicians, I'm going to tell you why. Because they present a problem to people like the Department of Treasury in this little known department called the Department of Narcotics, or the Bureau of Narcotics. What happened was they found out that jazz musicians are extremely loyal. They have solidarity. And this solidarity is interesting, and I'm going to tell you why. Because they didn't snitch on each other. So you have a federal conspiracy to lock up guys with marijuana. They don't snitch on each other. Why is this important? Because you got legal weed now. Legal weed now. And in the 30s and the 40s, they were locking people up for it. And I love jazz musicians, because when a jazz musician got locked up on weed, you know what? The other jazz musicians would bail them out. They found out that they couldn't win this case. This man, of course a white man, Harry Anslinger, he couldn't win it. Agent, I'm sorry, brother, it didn't work out for you. But then something happened. There was a woman. The woman behind me right here. This woman right here came out with a song called Strange Fruit. And it skyrocketed her into notoriety. She was already brilliant. But this song, about a woman openly lamenting with clarity, compassion, and mercy, the deaths of particularly black men down south by lynching. As they hung from trees, she said, it looks like strange fruit. And it resonated. In the jazz world, it resonated. In outside of the jazz world, it resonated. And this man decided, based on that he would target Billie Holiday. He heard that she had a heroin addict. She had a heroin problem. Yes. But what he decided to do was to make an example out of her. And when I say example out of her, he tried to ruin her life. A newsflash, everybody likes the Wizard of Oz. Judy Garland was a heroin addict. But they gave her rehab, and they helped her kick. Black folk, they throw you in jail. For crack, they throw you in jail. Do you see what the parallels are, brothers and sisters? Did you see why I'm saying she's a martyr? She was a story of things to come. And they pursued this lady. This is how they pursued her. knowing that they couldn't send white guys into Harlem to purchase heroin and try and trap people, guess what they did? They found a black man named Jimmy Fletcher. This Negro couldn't even get he could get into the bureau building. He couldn't go up the steps in the office because he was black. And yet they turned that Negro around, that bootlicking Negro, and they sent him into Harlem. They sent him into spaces to do what? Entrap people and to entrap Billie Holiday. And he did it. He got her trust, brothers and sisters. He gained her trust. He sold her stuff. And finally, he kept turning the paperwork over. And this is no different than what you're seeing. And you can go to HBO Max. What they have? Judas and the Black Messiah. This is one of the original Black Messiahs, brothers and sisters. Let me throw this up here. I got people on. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Janice, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Mahasan, thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you. I love your words. A total free fight away. Her Lord endowed her to fight culture and pain, but down for the fight. Mercy and forgiveness for her sincere soul. I mean. Because, brothers and sisters, here's the deal. She could have stopped singing that song and gotten some relief for herself. So you can say she was on heroin or cocaine or alcohol, but she had conviction. Let me say it again. She was on heroin, cocaine, alcohol, but she had conviction. You got people on nothing that don't believe in anything, that have absolutely no conviction. And she walked around and performed and did this song. Can you imagine white people? This is the power of Billie Holiday in this song. White people came to see her sing this song, to bare her soul on stage about lynching, the injustices done to black people without filter, brothers and sisters, zero filter. She sang it. In fact, I searched for the clip that I showed you. You know why? Because the first clip had somebody going, we own the rights on that. You don't own the rights on Billie Holiday. Now let's be real clear. Really, really clear. This is not a story about addiction. It's not a story about alcoholism. This is a story about victimization. Victimization. Now, this may get some people upset, but I'm going to go for it. I'm going to be honest. Part of the victimization of Billie Holiday came from her own community. It came from black men that treated her poorly. Black men that exploited her. A lot of the pain and sorrow she sang about was from broken relationships, expectations that were never met, people that abused her physically, mentally, sexually. They abused this woman. They broke her spirit. And I'm going to say this. As a black man, we got to do better. We must do better. When I see Billie Holiday and I see her sing, I'm not soft or anything. But I cry sometimes. I cry that we couldn't help her. I cry that people didn't step up and say, Billie, we love you. Don't worry about singing. We got you. We see that you've kicked heroin. Come over here. Be with us. Don't worry about these people, Billie. Come move in with Billie. Here's a life for you. Billie, let us help you learn another. Billie, what do you need to do to help your voice get out there? And we didn't do it because they were scared. One husband was a pimp and a hustler. He abused her. Jimmy Fletcher, actually, when she went to jail, she should have gone for probation and gotten help from rehab to detox. No, they threw the book at her. She went to jail. My word on this woman, she was so strong the entire time she was incarcerated, they said that she didn't sing at all. Hear me now. She didn't sing at all because she didn't want to lend power to her situation, which is a negative situation. My hat's off, Sister Billie. Let me give a shout out to my brother right here. What's going on, brother? That's all right, man. We're talking about Billie Holiday. You know you can rewind this thing. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know we got nothing but love for you, okay? Nothing but love. What you got for me, Sister Mahasan? I'm finna tell it. Now, one of the things about Billie Holiday is because if you're not carefully listening, you're gonna overlook the sophistication of what was going on. Because this thing with Billie Holiday bled, brothers and sisters, into the 60s. It bled into the 70s. It bled into the 80s. And you start hearing about things in the 80s like crack hitting South Central LA and the Nicaraguans getting guns, or the Contras, and all that type of stuff. It tells you about where you live and the times you live. Billie Holiday was a martyr. A martyr. Someplace, somewhere, they need to put her face on 2 or 3 stamps. Not one, but 2 or 3 stamps. Because she understood the conditions that we were. And I understand that the songs that she sang, the life that she led, they constantly harassed this woman. This little documentary biopic coming out, United States versus Billie Holiday, it won't cover the nuances of her having a broken spirit before she's an adult. The trials and travails of an addiction that hide pain and misery. I've never been on drugs before. I've never been on heroin or cocaine. You know, I know what reefer do, but I'm here to tell y'all something. When you turn to a substance, as opposed to something of substance, your heart is damaged. It's crushed. It's punctured. It's fractured. And I can't sit up here and tell you I know what it feels like. I don't know. But all I can do is empathize with her. Because on top of this, guess what, kids? This is in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Black people were invisible. I'm going to throw this out here. What's going on, Sister Eleanor? I'm glad y'all came on the show. I appreciate you. All right. Oh, you got baked chicken and macaroni and cheese. Oh, you got cabbage too. Did you see the thing I pulled? I'm going to put the food back up at the end. This is our last day for Black History Month. So let me throw this out here. Wa alaikum assalam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Sultana. Let me throw this out here about Billie Holiday. My dad said something to me, and it's the funniest thing. I know he meant it. I know he meant it was serious, but it was so serious it made me laugh. He said, son, that's what he called me. Son, he said, boy, white people get a strategy and drive it into the ground. I said, huh? He said, white people will take a strategy and run it into the ground. What he's talking about is white supremacy. I get that. You know, I can peel back the layers, understand it. But understand this, people. The attack on Billie Holiday wasn't just an attack on Billie Holiday. It was an attack on black intelligence and black excellence. The music that she sang, the jazz that was played, they didn't even consider it music. There was good music and then that jazz type of music. And jazz, they didn't like jazz. The people back there didn't like jazz. The reason they started liking jazz is when they thought they could make money off of it. Or they could make you play what they wanted you to play. Think about this, brothers and sisters. Even Mahalia Jackson that I showed yesterday, you know what that was classified as? Not gospel, not celebration of the Lord. It was classified as race music, being a race record. And Billie Holiday and Miles Davis and Dizzy Gillespie, despite their brilliance, if you look on the category, it was race records. And here comes this woman who appears at all levels to them to be broken and someone to be compromised, singing Strange Fruit. Now, brothers and sisters, you could take all the great jazz records out there. You could take Miles, you could take Kinda Blue, you could take Love Supreme. I would even tell you guys that Love Supreme drips with the misery and pain and sadness of Strange Fruit. Alabama, that Coltrane played, sounds like Strange Fruit. We just don't have the luxury and the blessing of her singing over it. And they took Billie Holiday and they ran her into the ground. They ran her into the ground. You see, because back in the day, once you got caught with heroin, guess what? You couldn't work in a place that served alcohol. They took your cabaret card. And it just didn't happen to her. It happened to Thelonious Monk. It happened to a lot of good jazz musicians because this is a way to control them. Remember I said earlier they couldn't break the jazz musicians over reefer because there was absolute unity. They stood together. This is the thing they did. You stand together, but you won't work together. And not being able to work together scared folks. And this, brothers and sisters, whether folks really want to admit it, this is the beginning of the drug war. This is the permissibility, if you will, the permissibility to criminalize drugs and put it in a specter of color. I guarantee. Shukran, sister. Thank you so much. All praises due to Allah. And I want to give a shout out to Miss Billie Holiday. She's a queen. I've grown up to the point that when I hear Strange Fruit now, I don't cry. I get a little moist around the eyes, but I don't cry. And I realized when she sings Strange Fruit, I know why it's hard to watch her sing it. Because she became Strange Fruit. They hung my sister, just like they did with the bodies down south. Except when she hung, she could still sing. And it haunted those people. In fact, brothers and sisters, I'm not going to tell you to go on Hulu and watch this thing. Do your homework. Inform people. Thank you, Mama Son. That's my mom. Assalamu alaikum, Mama Son. But let's do our homework. Let's make this a case that we are informed. If Billie Holiday was here today, I believe she'd actually probably give us a song about voting rights. How people are trying to take our voting rights. How people are trying to turn our children against each other. That's how beautiful and brilliant this woman was. Let's take a pause for the pause, brothers and sisters. I don't want to be remiss. I have to put our sponsor out there. So, brothers and sisters, this segment is brought to you by BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. If you don't want to go to the website, and you should, go to 1-800-679-3175. Again, that's 1-800-679-3175. Now, the person who's going to pick up the side of the phone, that's going to be Miss Maxine B. Cade, Esquire, who's really known as the Harriet Tubman of financial freedom, trying to take people out of slavery of debt. So my wrap up here, brothers and sisters, is that I'm not going to stop doing Black history because I respect Black history. It's every day. And if I get a chance to sound the trumpet on a queen like Billie Holiday, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. They say when they finally came to bust Billie Holiday, she said they had no drugs. And they bought that black man in, that bootlicking Jimmy Fletcher, who had been her friend, trying to be her friend to get cozy and set her up. And he planted drugs. Let's just call it what it is. They said, you want to search the room? Just tell us what the drugs is. Tell us what the drugs are, Billy. Billie Holiday took off all the clothes and said, no, search everything. Everything. So look, I'll give a shout out to Sister Janet. Thank you so much. All the way from Seattle, that's my sister. Sister Janet, thank you for coming on. But let me throw this out here. And I'm going to take this off. Remember I said, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com or call 1-800-679-3175. Let me put this out here. That in many ways, Billie Holiday's strength was a precursor to what we're going through now. And maybe that song, brothers and sisters, that Strange Fruit song, I believe there's a reason why they don't play it today. You had George Floyd, we had Ahmaud Arbery, we had people on, we had Trayvon Martin. Do you notice that nobody references Strange Fruit? Sister Taylor in Louisville, nobody references Strange Fruit because it was so unique. And I believe in my heart of hearts, the powers that be don't want that song to get out because that's an anthem. That's a rally choir. That's a rally cry. It lets people know that we are aware of our situation, number one, and number two, we're aware of our history. So I'm going to ask everybody, you could send a prayer up for Billie Holiday. She's been gone a while. But maybe just thank Billie Holiday. Thank Allah that we have Billie. Thank God that we have a Billie Holiday. Because we haven't had a long one in a long time. Someone who stood up and publicly said, hey, everybody, I'm being martyred. But it's okay. It's okay. I can handle it. It's okay. I'm going to deal with these people for you. And you, and you, and you. And for all the men out there, she did it for you as well. She made it easy for us to take in air and exhale. All the jazz musicians that came after Billie, they may not talk about Billie Holiday, but I've been in rooms where they openly wept at what happened to this woman. So, I'm going to close out. I got one more message up here. No, it's okay. My mom said, you still got to fight black men as well as white men. Okay, Mom. I'm not going to argue with you. I pointed out myself. I indicted myself now. So, everybody, I hope this is good. I hope you enjoyed this show. Of course, it's the end of Black History Month on the calendar. I'm going to make it a point to spotlight some of our black heroes and heroines as much as I can. And you guys stay on me. If I'm not doing a good job, you have a fiduciary right to say, Preach, you ain't doing a good job. Or better, Preach, you could do better. And I openly welcome it. And I want to dedicate this show to all the brothers and sisters who are not with us now because they became strange fruit. So I'm going to close this out with a little thing, and then I'll close this out with the show. Listen, you guys have been great. I appreciate you. It's been a crazy start to 2021, but we're still here. All praises due. We're still here. So I want to close us out with this. I saw it, and I was like, you know what? This is a beautiful thing. Not as beautiful as Strange Fruit, but I want you to check it out. Hold on a minute, everybody. I figured out my mistake. I have to switch this. So forgive me, everybody. Okay, we're good to go now.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? What's so proud? We hailed at the twilight's last gleaming. Lift and rejoice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling stream. And the rocket's red bells bursting in air. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark house has
everybody. This is your brother, Preacher Moss. Listen, I hope that you enjoyed your shout-out show experience. We'll be back with the next show, the next shout-out show. A simple ask before you go, please help your brother out. Click that subscribe button, click that notify button, and I'll see you again on this side of the microphone. You probably wonder what that smell is. That's me. I smell good. And the reason I smell good is because I use oils from Tarif Altar. So I'm not saying you can't smell good. I'm not even saying you stink. I'm saying you have the opportunity to smell exquisite. Check out TarifAltar.com for some of the best oils and scents in town.